Scott, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I think Karen is just posting, Rick noticed that there was, on the agenda, it noted room 203 instead of hearing room, so Karen's gonna put a note there to say that the meeting is, both of them are gonna occur in this room.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, we're on. Excuse me, I'd like to welcome everyone to the April 14th, 2025 meeting of the, actually we'll start with the annual meeting. We have two meetings scheduled for today. First one is the regular annual meeting we do to cover some routine business. And this is the land bank. We have all five directors present. Scott, our attorney, Ellie's running the meeting. So we have some guests that will be speaking in a minute here. But first of all, we need to do the annual meeting, and that is kind of the routine annual meeting to establish officers, et cetera, for the coming year. And so the first item of action is the approval of the 2024 annual meeting minutes. And I don't know if anybody had any questions or changes or anything. I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes then.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Gary, second.
I'll second.
Second by Michelle. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll abstain.
And abstention by Rick. I'd like to also welcome Rick Carr, a newly designated member of the board from the treasurer's office. Okay, so we've covered the minutes. The annual report of the land bank, otherwise known as the Hinkle report, has been submitted, and it was submitted on March 19th, 2025. And I think the requirement is April 30th. It has to be done by April 30th. We've done it ahead of time. I want to thank Karen first for her work on that. Justin, I'm sure, contributed as well. So I don't know if anybody had any questions on it. I just want to make sure everybody knew it. We did circulate the actual financials, though, right? In an email. They're like 38 pages, so I didn't want to print them out. But the report is going forward. The audit has started. Ray and Associates is doing the audit, as they've done for several years now. And they're doing ours, the Finance Authority and the county. And they've started ours. Our balance sheet income statement is actually fairly straightforward. We have 200 and some thousand in cash, and really a few liabilities, but nothing significant. And our income statement is fairly straightforward as well. We get the DTAC money from the treasurer's office, delinquent tax collection. We get a little slice of that revenue, the fees that they collect, and that's in the range of $60,000 a year, I think, somewhere in that vicinity. And the rest, and we have the expenses of operating the organization, the audit, consulting, et cetera, insurance. So that is like I said, the audit is proceeding. I don't know if anybody had any questions on the financials. We get a lot of pass-through money, what I call pass-through money. That is grant revenue comes to the land bank. It is then sent on to the recipients. And that counts as revenue, so our income statement actually gets kind of grossed up, where we get revenue and then spend the money and send the money on to the grantees. So the revenue stream looks a lot bigger than it is in reality. So anyway, we're in good shape. No real liabilities of any magnitude other than just routine expenses. So that's kind of the annual report of the land bank. I don't know if anybody has the financials. Anybody has any questions or comments? Okay, we'll move into the next four items, are the election of the officers. We need to select a chair, vice chair, treasurer, and secretary. And we do this every year. And so I will open it up we'll do the chair first. I'll open up for nominations for chair.
I would move that I would maintain the current chair, Jeff Benton.
I would second that.
Second, okay. I'm not, this is not my career ambition to be chair of the land bank. So if anybody wants to to take it over, I'd certainly entertain that, but I'm willing to do it again for another year.
Is that your acceptance speech? or-
That's my acceptance speech. Again, we're getting a lot done. It's a team job. We've got a good firm with CEC, Justin, Karen, Scott represents us well, Ally runs the meetings well, so I don't know if anybody, okay, so anyway, I'll shut up. Any further comments? We'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the vice chair. I hadn't asked you before, but Michelle, would you be willing to?
I would be more than happy to.
Okay.
See, she did it much more pleasant, positive.
That's right. That's right. Okay, well, I would nominate Michelle. I don't know if there's a second.
I'll second.
Second, Sandra. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Congratulations, Michelle.
Thanks.
We appreciate your willingness to step in as needed. Treasurer, Commissioner Merrill's done a lot of work on that over the last couple of years, really, or several years. And I would nominate Gary to be, if you're interested.
I'd be happy to do it.
There's no proxy fight. I'd be glad to nominate Gary to be treasurer again for the coming year.
I'll second.
Second, Sandra, okay. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. And secretary.
Well, last year in the minutes, they were combined, I think because we had some turnover.
Yeah.
I think Sandra would be an ideal
Sandra.
person to be the secretary. It's a very easy job. She's gonna do all
Ally
the work.
does all over.
Sounds good.
So you're okay?
Yes.
Okay, I'll nominate Sandra then to be secretary.
Okay, I'll second.
Any further discussion? All right, I'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, congratulations, Sandra. You don't know what you signed on to. So I'm sure we'll make it easy. Ally does a great job.
Mr. Chairman, could I interrupt? Could you go back to number 3 and have the board formally approve?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Good.
I know it's already been submitted, but now that it's been reviewed.
Yep. So anyway, it's good to acknowledge and approve the filing of the financial reports to the Hinkle system. I would entertain a motion to approve that. If somebody's got a,
So moved.
Michelle, second?
Second.
Second, Rick? Did you second it, Rick?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, good point, thank you, Scott. Okay, go to number 8, we have an annual, we have an ethics policy that, good policy, good procedure in this policy is to have an acknowledgement of that ethics, review of the ethics policy every year. Ally did submit blank forms. Everybody should have a blank form to fill out. It's real easy. The ethics policy has not changed. Again, it's pretty straightforward, as I'm sure you've seen in other organizations. It's a good idea to just acknowledge that we have no conflicts, and if we do, something would arise, we would recuse ourselves. So hopefully everybody's had a chance to review that, and I've got mine signed one, and we can just give them to
Here's
Ally
mine,
and
you
accumulate
just pencil it
them.
in.
Very good. And then, next item is the annual policy review. I don't propose any changes, but I like to once a year just open it up for discussion if anybody has any particular policy they would like to change, revise, add, if there's a policy we're missing. Again, one of the good things in Delaware County that's unique is we don't acquire a lot of property. In fact, I don't think we've ever technically owned a property in the land bank, but we have a lot of activity. And just in case we would acquire property, we have a series of policies on acquisition, disposal, maintenance, et cetera. So anyway, no one has any comments, we'll move on. I think that's it for the land bank. If anybody has any other business for the annual meeting of the land bank? I think we're good. Okay. So,
You have to close the meeting, or?
yeah, we'll close the annual meeting at 1:40. And we will open the regular meeting, the quarterly meeting. This is a required meeting. We have to do this every quarter, at least once a quarter. So I will call the April 14th, 2025 meeting of the, regular meeting of the Delaware County Land Reutilization Corporation to order. First action item is we actually have two meetings to approve minutes for. We had our regular meeting in January, on January 15th, where we reviewed several brownfield applications and approved those and did the regular business, approving invoices, et cetera. And then we also had a February 18th special meeting where we reviewed and approved for submittal and additional brownfield remediation application. So anyway, if we'll do the January 15th, or January 15th meeting first. I don't know if anybody had any comments or changes on the meeting minutes?
I move to approve the January 15th minutes as submitted.
Okay. Any further, we need a second.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Rick abstain. Okay, that's January 15th. Again, that was the regular meeting. Then on February 18th, we had a special meeting for, to submit an application that had been mentioned at the January 15th meeting, but just wasn't in a position to be finalized for submission. And it's the OB's gas station project up on 23 north of town. That project was approved, and I want to thank Justin for pinch hitting for me because I couldn't make it that day to run that meeting. So anyway, any comments on the February 18th meeting minutes? I would entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve the February 18th, 2025 meeting
Okay.
minutes.
Second, anybody?
I wasn't here. I guess I
Okay,
could
Michelle will
second.
second.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Abstain.
Rick abstains. Okay. Next item is the treasurer's report. I will turn it over to our treasurer.
Yeah, we give you a quick update. In the month of March, we had two deposits from the state demo grant in the amount of $25,345, a brownfield grant in the amount of $92,143. We wrote 3 checks during the month. March 28th, the city of Powell, basically just transferring that money, $25,345. And March 28th, Civil and Environment Grant Administration, $4,020.87. And the Columbus Housing Home Port Brownfield Grant in the amount of $92,143 on March 31st. The bank balance at the end of March was $326,680.54. DTAC collections for the first half were received on April 10th in the amount of $86,287.01. And after the DTAC deposit and all the checks clear the bank, the balance will be $291,458.68. And
Okay.
that's my report.
Okay, good. Any comments, discussion? Had limited activity in our account on a typical basis, so therefore, I would entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, a second?
I'll second.
Second, Andrew? All right, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the treasurer's report is accepted. We now have 2 invoices to approve. Our regular annual SFM insurance, this covers property and liability, and it is, a copy was included in the packet. It's a little over $3,000, $3,115. It's up, I think, 2%, 2-point-something% from the prior year, so a modest increase. Again, without owning any property, it's not a huge property bill, but if we did own property, we'd have to add it separately. But so anyway, I would ask for a motion to approve the annual meeting or the annual insurance premium.
Is the insurance premium for a couple years, if I'm looking at that correctly?
This is the annual billing, but it is committed for 3 years, I think, right,
Okay.
Karen? This is a 3-year guaranteed premium
Okay.
or guaranteed renewal.
So it's really just accepting
the annual fee too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, a good question. I did not mention that. Should have mentioned it. Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the annual premium for SFM insurance.
So moved.
Second.
Second, okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right, that takes care of our insurance. Then we have a quarterly invoice from our counsel, Scott Gordon, and relatively quiet quarter, not as much engagement with our legal counsel as in previous quarters. But I don't know if anybody had any questions. I'd entertain a motion to approve Scott Gordon's invoice, $450.
I move to approve the invoice for $450.
Okay,
I
is there a
second.
second? Second? Sandra, okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. That takes us to the meat of the meeting and the main mission of the land bank, and that is to get projects done in Delaware County, and we have Brent and Emily from CEC here today, so appreciate it. I know you guys have been working not just for us, but others as well, and we appreciate the updates, and don't think we have any action items.
I don't think
For
so.
today.
Again, Brent, for the record, Brent Smith, Principal at Civil Environmental Consultants, so we're hired to help administer the ODOD grant programs. I will provide a written update in email later. I should have sent this morning, but basically Emily put together a summary for us that covers each grant. So I figure we'll just walk through that, and this includes anything from outstanding grants that haven't been closed yet up through pending applications. So on the demo front, we still have the grant from 2022 is open. That one we had gone back and forth with ODOD to get another replacement project put on there. So we moved over the 43 Scioto Street project at Powell to that grant to use up some of the balance of the initial $500,000. I'm waiting for a update from Jeff Tyler. I'm gonna drive by the site on my way home, but I went by it 3 weeks ago and the house wasn't down yet. But they're keeping the grant open for us, so that'll be just fine. Because what we did there is it'll come into play with the next demo grant, because we were able to transfer some budget over to OWU for their Bashford Hall project. So what we anticipate with the initial demo grant is hopefully the city of Powell will get back. I'll provide an update as we get it. They'll take down the building, and then we'll do a final reimbursement, final report, and that initial 2022 demo grant will be closed.
That, I think, needs to be done by June 30th?
Yes.
Is that the deadline? Okay.
Yes, that's preferred. And we had basically said we'd try to get the project done by the end of March, but it kept getting delayed as far as the yes from ODOD. We went back and forth with them into February, I think January into February, to get approval. But I don't anticipate any issues. ODOD has been really great to work with. So then on, if that's okay, I'll move on to the next open one would be the Dublin Road, 7775 Dublin Road. This is with our friends at Phoenix, and shoot, I'm drawing a blank on the.
Laner is the.
Right.
Matt Laner.
Laner, that's right. Laner. So we've done 2 disbursement requests already. They only have about 15% of their budget left. They're putting together their final draw requests. So we'll do another draw request, the final report on that one, and that grant will get closed out. So I think they've been making good progress, so that's good news. Next one coming up, which is also the fiscal year 24 period, is the 50 Channing Street that we're working on with Homeport. This one, we've worked through some emails. Thank you very much. It's my understanding the Commissioner's Office sent an email to the head of ODOD to advance the getting an extension on that grant, because what was happening was Homeport their lender was dragging their heels about actually issuing their loan and having the closing on them. Fine, like, all the paperwork's done, they've paid, we've reimbursed them for their for the amount that we could for obtaining the property, but they can't close on it because the lender needs reassurance that all this money is going to come through for the grant. So we're in this catch-22 situation. So that's what we had. We reached out to ODOD, you reached out to ODOD, and it's my understanding that we can pass on to Homeport that the extension, there'll be an extension of at least through October 31st, which is about with their construction schedule. And that should help them out tremendously. It should get the project kicked off.
Yeah, that's a really important project. I mean, the
Yes.
east side of Delaware, we got another project in the application stage.
Right,
That is really helping to transform the east side of Delaware, this home port,
right.
you know, with the mill on flax and some of the other projects. East side of Delaware is really coming along. It's really neat to
Right.
see.
And well, I have some ideas for things coming up too, and we'll cover that after I get through the agenda, but,
Good.
it kind of ties in with the recent news of the state budget and whatnot. So Homeport, what will hopefully will happen with that is we'll get the extension request approved and they'll be off to the races of completing their project, and we'll get, you know, updates periodically on what they're doing and get it in the reimbursement reporting cycle.
Yeah, to just kind of confirm what Brent's saying is I communicated with Lydia Mahalik, the director of ODOD. Justin let me know last week that the bank was a little anxious, and so was Homeport, and so we did get they were great to respond. They responded right away this morning, saying that they would extend it. And now they have to actually do the formal communication of that, but that should get the bank to issue their approval and then fund it.
Okay.
Good.
And what I'll do is I'll forward that communication on to David Mahan to see what else he needs. He said he seemed to think the lender needed a comfort letter or something, and I keep reiterating to him, like, ODOD has granted extensions all along. Do we need to talk to somebody? So I keep telling him we're here. If we need to talk to the lender or have a brief phone call or a meeting or whatever, we'll make sure we're communicating that. And then hopefully that just gets kicked off and we're ready to go.
Yep.
Okay, so the next grant would be the 2024 demo grant, and that was where we had seen, I think the county has signed that agreement, and I wasn't sure if we had got a signed agreement back from ODOD to actually formalize the grant award. So this would be the one that covers 2 addresses in Powell and then the Ohio Wesleyan project.
Yeah.
And now have we heard, have you received anything
I
from?
haven't. Justin is on top of all those grant documents.
Thanks, board members. Justin Navi, Director of Finance. We did get approvals on the Wesleyan project for the subrecipient agreement and all that, and that work's already been started on Bashford Hall. When I get back to my desk after the meeting, I'll go back through and look, but everything should be up to date on the demolition projects right now for 24.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a signed agreement?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you, Justin. Yeah, because the one thing that we had held off sharing the good information, which is, you know, with Ohio Wesleyan project, we had the hope that we were gonna get additional, aside from the 500,000 set aside, we had gone for more money for Ohio Wesleyan. And then we got the bad news back in, what was it, January, that there was no set aside. The county gets their $500,000, that's it. So we had to go to Ohio Wesleyan and then tell them, hey, you have to pony up a letter saying you'll fork over, I think it's $113,349, $113,000. Had a little bit of pushback from that, but the one thing I don't know if we've relayed to them is that because we shifted projects around, we lowered that number from 113,000 to about 79,000.
Right.
And that's something that I think we can probably, Emily and I were waiting until it was a go for sure and everything's proceeding. And I'll work with Justin to let them know. I didn't want it to be our news to share, it's the county's news to share.
Sure.
With Ohio Wesleyan to say, hey, it went from bad to better, you know, it's not the ideal situation,
Right.
but I know that'll go a long way with the relationship there.
And this, again, is another important project. They're really working hard to redo their residential campus. Higher education, particularly private schools, are struggling, you know, with admission, and they've downsized their residential campus and built several new buildings and really nice residential facilities. And part of that is they don't need Bashford anymore. It's 70 years old, something like that. And doesn't meet the modern residential life needs, you know, students' needs, and so they decided to build new buildings and knock down this one. So again, it's really good that we can help them with that reimagining of their residential campus.
Yeah, it's a very great project, and I think they're gonna come into play. We're gonna have to talk with them when we talk about the state budget in the future too.
Right.
And I'll cover that at the end again. So the last item that we have for updates for is there was 4 applications put in as part of the fiscal year 25 application period. This was one day, February 19th, the window was open for about 2.5 hours, and the program got, actually, from talking to ODOD, the program got oversubscribed in an hour and 20 minutes. So Emily was there as the Delaware County representative, and boom, 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 she had them, all 4 of them in, fortunately within about the first hour while I was working on ones for some other people. So we've received comments back on 1 so far, and that's the Ashley Petroleum site. And Ashley, this was Phoenix Environmental's prime site where they were kind of going back and forth about remediation versus assessment. So we had cure questions on that were due a couple weeks ago. We responded in turn in time. And then we got 1 more question back that's going to require a cost estimate revision by Phoenix. So we're working with Jeff Pates of Phoenix to make sure he gets us the documentation we need. The only problem with this one is I think that when we were provided with the application, we were under the assumption that this gas station was going to remove old tanks that were not in use, and then there was no talk about it being a gas station anymore. One of the questions we've gotten back from ODOD now on this project is, hey, is this going to stay a gas station? And according to Jeff and the property owner, yes, it is. So ODOD is actually talking amongst themselves. Luckily, Jeff Pates had some correspondence between Diane and ODOD from a year or 2 ago, saying that they would approve this sort of project. But right now, the current ODOD folks are actually balking at it a little bit because it's a little bit of a, for the spirit of the grant program, I mean, what the application is saying they want to do is take out their current in-use gas tanks. They were trying to use match money of putting in new tanks as their match, which that's not. Yeah, so what we're trying to do with him now is say, tell us what your assessment's going to cost, and your client has to pay for 25% of that assessment. It can't be any of this other superfluous stuff of improving the site. So hopefully we'll get through it. I mean, we've provided ODOD with information, and hopefully we keep the project alive. Because it is important for Ashley, and then we're keeping everybody within the guardrails of the program, certainly, because that's the biggest thing. We don't want, Emily and our goal has always been, if there's something about a project that's going to be outside the boundaries of the project, the program, let's make sure it never comes back on the county. So we'll just keep everybody in the loop with how that one turns out. And then the other 3 were also Lake Street gas station, I think that's here in Delaware, Obie's gas station here in Delaware, and then another Ashley remediation project. We received no update from ODOD. But just to review the process of ODOD's review, obviously they got a lot of applications, they review them in the order they're received. So we've heard back from 3 total, so 2 for other clients, and 1 for Delaware County so far. And then in speaking with ODOD about those projects, I asked the question, are you done? Are you done? Have you reviewed everything you're going to review? They said, no, it's ongoing. So I think we have every reason to expect we'll get comments back on at least two more projects, if not all 3. That would be our expectation. But obviously, if more time goes by and we don't hear anything, maybe our expectations are wrong. So we'll just keep the county up to date as we can.
Right. Yeah, and again, what's different about this one versus prior years is this one is competitive
Yes.
statewide, and there requires a 25% match. Prior years, we were guaranteed $1 million in each county.
Yes.
Not the case with these, so that's why getting in early was so critical.
Right. And then everything, I mean, it all worked out for that application date that we were in there early, ready to pounce on it.
Right.
So I guess that was it. So unless there's, and the other thing just to note is that for all these, any open grants, we have quarterly reports too. It's an online form, and we provide Justin and you, Jeff, with like a 1-sheet saying, what did we do during the last quarter? Is the project done? Just a simple questionnaire. Those are due the 20th. So it being the 14th, we're planning on having drafts ready for either tomorrow or Wednesday, just so we can provide them for the county's review, and then we'll go ahead and we have the authorization to turn them in. Just a paperwork exercise, but we're just another thing to keep track of. yeah, so that's everything I have on the current
Okay.
slate.
Okay. Yeah, we're kind of waiting with bated breath on those 4 applications.
Right.
Again,
Well, and that's what I noticed in the packet for today. If we could jump ahead a little bit, if that's okay while I'm up here. The last 2 pages were just the continued support for the brownfield remediation and building demolition programs.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
basically, the long short of that was that the state budget, when they redid the governor's blue book, initial blue book didn't have any, it had a couple $1 million for each program in it. And I
Oh,
think
really? I didn't realize that.
and that was it, yeah. And then it went through, I don't remember if it went through the House or the Senate.
Yeah, this is the House version.
This is the House version.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it went through the House version, and there was a couple of organizations, one being the Ohio Land Bank Association, was greatly lobbying just for this right here. So if anybody's going to the Ohio Land Bank Association, and you know anybody from the association, thank them if you see them. But this was the big push. There's another push by the Greater Ohio Policy Center to make the funding permanent, and that's a separate track. There's no update on that. But this one, I just wanted to throw out there. So what this says is that, yeah, the brownfield remediation program, there would be $125 million for each fiscal year. So this would be fiscal year 26 and 27. They didn't really give any notes on if that's going to be first come, first serve. I know the Land Bank Association was pushing towards each county getting their $1 million again. And then there was $20 million a year for the demo program, which presumably, hopefully there will be $500,000 to each county again on that one. But I don't know any details on that yet. The only reason I wanted to bring this up is because if this becomes reality, so we're going to be looking ahead to the June 30th deadline for the governor to sign the budget for when the fiscal year starts on July 1st. And then I would imagine applications would roll out sometime within the next 3 to 6 months. It all depends on where they're at with the other programs. But point being is we should be ready. So we can cover this certainly in the next quarterly meeting again, but I think just it would be good for everyone on the Land Bank Board to be thinking ahead of like, should we have a talk with Ohio Wesleyan and say, what other projects do you have? Do you have any other demo projects? Do you have any other problems with like sites with environmental issues? The easiest thing to get a grant for in the brownfield program is just, if you have asbestos and you have to take the building down, you get a brownfield grant for the asbestos removal and demolition of the building. And it's like the best use of the money because it's definitive results that, you know, your partner in the project wouldn't be paying for. So I think we just need to be thinking ahead, and Emily and I can knock our heads together. We've done things for other clients of looking at building inventories and things like that. Is there certain areas of the county or of certain cities that you guys want to look at? We can go look at zoning and do some other little tricks through GIS and some other little things. But I just want to say, like, this is a conversation, here it being April and this potentially happening in the second half of the year. Start identifying now so that when it's time to do the applications, we're ready. Because there's one thing they've said to us over and over again is like, you guys have been doing this 4 rounds now of applications. Don't turn in an incomplete application. They're going to keep tightening the ropes on us. So the more we can be ahead of it, is for the better.
Yeah, I was excited to see the 20 million for the demolition
Yeah.
grant program for each year in the 2 years. Again, no details on whether it's X hundred thousands per county or completely competitive statewide or whatever, but it's encouraging. And they really like the brownfield program. The demolition program, interesting, the people I talked to, not a lot of counties didn't take advantage of it. So
Right.
a lot of the money didn't get spent in
Right.
previous years. So I think that's why they were backing that down some.
Yeah, well, I know that one, I don't have the numbers on it, but I could get them. I had another county, Jefferson County, that I work with, that they were tracking it. But for the demo program, I mean, it was like 75% of the money went to 4 counties. And the brownfield program was tracked very similar. So there's a lot of pushback to make sure that counties that maybe were under applied or didn't apply for either program get a leg up. Because, of course, if you assess a bigger municipality, you're going to have, Cleveland, Cuyahoga County went after, blocks of land. It was fantastic for them.
Sure.
But they went after giant blocks of land, blocks of houses to just take down because that's how blighted that city is. But, if you're a lesser, not so much in the program, or some of the land banks we work with are 2 people or 1 person, you just can't be ready to play at that level, and hopefully they'll level the playing field a little bit and give everybody a fair shake. So that's all I have.
Okay, any other questions for Brent? Thank you, and Emily too, thank you for all the work you've done. We're moving things along,
Yeah, not a
a lot of
problem.
good things done. Oh, just kind of FYI for everybody, the Sunny V Nursing Home up on Lincoln Avenue, I don't know if, Sandra, I'm sure you've seen it,
Yeah, I've
Rick, I
seen
don't know if you've seen it or not lately.
Not lately.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, it was a really rundown property, really blighted, and it looks beautiful now.
Really?
Yeah, the couple that bought it at auction sold it about a year ago to another company that is developing the Caddy Corner property, the old Ki-Fi house is how I know it growing up there, but they've completely gutted the inside. They took down, we actually provided the grants to do the remediation, take down the garage and the annex, and they've painted it. They put wrought iron fence around it. I mean, it really looks nice. So again, just an example of how we can work with local folks and the land bank can help get, because it was a real eyesore. It was just deteriorating. 15 years it sat empty.
And that's where, like, if rolling into the next grant periods, assuming they're a reality, if there's just areas of town that we need to look into, that's what we do. That's what we're used to doing with these kind of partnerships. And it wouldn't be something where we're necessarily billing you for doing that, for developing this, maybe for the applications, but not for the initial legwork, because that's part of our normal business development, is trying to find brownfields and help the county to best utilize the money for the betterment of the community.
Yeah, and we've communicated a number of times. We'll continue to communicate, and hopefully we'll get some
Yeah,
guaranteed demolition grant money. We'll see.
yeah, we'll see. All right, well, thank you very much.
Yep, thank you. So that's the update on that. I want to cover Bashford and Homeport, and those we've talked about. The annual land bank meeting, the annual Land Bank Association annual meeting is 23rd and 24th, I think. I don't know if anybody's going or not. I've got a SEPCO board meeting
No, I'm not
retreat at
going.
the same time, so.
The conference or?
The annual meeting, the OLBA's annual meeting. I don't know if anybody's going.
Yeah, I registered for
You
Thursday.
did register?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, and I think we've approved expenses, right? So
Mhm.
everybody's,
Yes, we did that
we'll
last week.
reimburse everybody for any expenses, but Rick, I don't know if you're interested in going or not, but if you want to, it's
I'll let you know.
23rd, 24th, we'll reimburse your expenses.
Okay.
Just need to get signed up. I'm sure they'll still take people if they want to sign up. Legislative update, I just wanted to cover the topic that we've already covered, and that is the demolition grant proposal. Again, it's just the House version of the budget so far. House and Senate will do a conference and figure out. So we'll monitor it, and hopefully it will survive, and we'll get some guaranteed funding at least. Hopefully we'll get some guaranteed funding. They have made, interestingly, we've given them feedback on this Welcome Home Ohio program. It doesn't really work well in Delaware County because of all the restrictions. They've relaxed the restrictions quite a bit, but it's still, it just still doesn't work well here. And I think some of the restrictions are just make it very difficult to work with. So I don't think, again, this is proposed, but I don't think the current improvements are enough to make it viable here in Delaware County, but we'll keep an eye on that. Next item, and maybe the last item, but Justin came up with an idea which I thought was great, and that is the land bank is eligible to participate in Star Ohio. Star Ohio, for those of you who don't know, is a fund that the state treasurer's office maintains that local jurisdictions can invest their kind of overnight money in and achieve a very good rate, probably the best overnight rate around. And the land bank is eligible for that. Right now, we're sitting with $200 and some thousand in our checking account, which is not very efficient, or not very. Not as good as we can do. So Justin came with the idea, why not we open a Star Ohio account? And I'll turn it over to Justin.
Thanks, board members. Justin Navi, Director of Finance. Thanks, Commissioner, for letting me come up. Karen and I were looking at first half settlement with the DTAC funds. Based on the cash balance, I thought now is a good time just to open up a market account with Star Ohio. What I was proposing was maybe transferring $230,000 to the money market fund, leaving about $58,000 in the bank account. And if there's surplus funds going forward, we could look at this annually or semi-annually after each real estate settlement. So,
Yeah, again, I think it's a great idea. Virtually no risk. I mean, it's a great
No-brainer.
program offered by the
Mhm.
treasurer's office.
we have one for the Finance Authority,
Mhm.
which is also a component unit of the county. And then I know last year I worked with the Ag Society to set one up as well for the
Oh,
Fair
right.
Board.
Right,
So
right.
A question, if you said the money's available overnight,
it is, you can,
so why would we leave 58,000 showing no interest?
we can move more.
Just a question.
I was looking at the monthly expenses. We're averaging about $4,000 or $5,000 a month. Just trying to keep sufficient cash for, I always like to keep it 6 months on hand, but we could probably transfer, maybe leave 20,000 in the bank account for a
Just
couple
based on the
months.
comment that you made about the fact that it's that transferable that easily,
Yeah,
I think you're fine if you have 30 days on hand.
no, I understand.
Pump it up.
I get set in my ways sometimes, I guess, so.
Okay.
But yeah, would you rather leave 20,000 in the account and transfer the rest out?
I would,
That's where I'd be.
I think 20 would be, there's certainly plenty of flexible money to have available. I'd say but I wouldn't do any more than that. Maybe that's a good number just to work
Yeah.
off of.
And you can get, if you do a trade before 1 PM, you can get the money back through a Fed wire. And what we're proposing is Commissioner Benton, Commissioner Lewis, or Merrill, and Karen would be signatories, and then Karen could do the trades.
And we don't have any bills that we have to pay in 24 hours typically, so that shouldn't be an
Correct.
issue at all.
And Commissioner Benton mentioned this too, most of the money that we're paying out is pass-through. So, we got a reimbursement for Homeport for $92,000, and we just cut that check the next day. So most of the recurring costs that are pulling down DTAC funds are like the monthly fees for CEC, attorney services, or insurance.
I like it. I mean, it's 4.5,
4.5.
4.75, somewhere in that range. So 200,000, we're gonna earn $8,000-9,000 a year just in interest, so
Great.
it makes a lot of sense. Again, it's one of those, oh, yeah, we should have done it a long time ago. Thank you, Justin.
Yep, thanks.
for bringing that up.
Do we have to
And
take
Karen.
any action? So if
Yes,
you-
we do.
Okay.
We do need to take action to approve, to give the authority to go to the bank, or go to the state treasurer's office and say, we now have the authority to open this account, and then approve the authorized signers. So those would be the two approvals we need, right, Justin?
Correct.
Okay, so I'd entertain a motion to
Chairman, could I
approve.
ask something?
Sure.
I'm just not familiar with the Star Ohio program. Is the product that you can invest in, is there only one type of product that you're investing in? You mentioned sales, and I'm sure Rick and
It's
everyone
a-
else is
Yeah,
more familiar.
Yeah, Rick would know.
It's only one product, right? So
A money
it's-
market account.
It's a
with
money
interest
market
rate.
account, and then on the backside, they're managing it in corporate paper and US everything, but they manage it on about a 30 to 45 day maturity window, so.
Okay. I assume, is it guaranteed by the Department of Treasury, or the
No, it's,
state of Ohio, or?
no, it's not insured, but it's backed by the underlying securities in the money market fund. So with
It's
banking,
about as risk-free as you can get.
yeah, it's AAA rated.
Yeah. And public entities, public jurisdictions in Ohio are allowed to invest in it.
Got it.
So that's what's unique about this one.
Pretty much every,
Every,
the state.
every local subdivision has accounts open, and as soon as you get your property tax revenue, you move it right into Star Ohio,
Got it.
and then
All right,
you don't
so
let it sit in its checking account, because checking account's
Nothing,
insured, but not fully insured, so.
got it. All right, I just was curious if there was any future decisions about what products to invest in and all that, but it doesn't sound like that's the case. So.
Yep.
Okay, that's all the questions I had, thanks.
Yeah, very, very common. I think most municipalities, townships, cities, counties have a Star Ohio account and actively use it. Because it is really the best money market rate around, and very easily accessible and so on.
you can play around with my motion, but I'll make a motion that we set up a STAR account and work off the assumption that we'll have no more than 20,000 free cash, which gives you flexibility to put even more in the account if you see it works that way. We don't have to come back and readdress it.
Sounds good.
And that's my motion.
Second.
Second, Sandra. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you.
We need authorized signers too.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know if we just set the motion for that or not, but
You can
anyway.
amend the motion to put the signers on it.
I'm sorry, what?
You can amend your motion to put the
Yeah, we could do
signers
that.
and authorize Justin to open it.
Yeah, authorize Justin to open it. Add Karen, Gary, and myself as the authorized signers. And,
It's probably easier to just make a new motion since it's already been approved, isn't it? Just, so is that your,
we'll make a new motion, I'm sure. You make that motion?
I'll make that motion that we have the 3 signatories that was identified and as a separate motion.
And, second, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Rick. Okay, so any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good.
Great, thank
You
you.
have what you need, Justin?
I do, thanks. Yep.
Very good, thank you. One other update, we talked about it, I think, at our November Land Bank Board meeting, where this property on Henderson Drive in Concord Township was just abandoned, and the neighbors were trying to buy the property. They couldn't get a hold of the heirs to the property. The property owner had died, and they couldn't find the heirs. Well, we turned it over to the prosecutor's office. Prosecutor has been pushing through foreclosure, and lo and behold, the prosecutor found the heirs. And the heirs are talking to the neighbors to pay the back taxes, and one of the neighbors is gonna buy the property. So, again, no direct involvement, or no legal involvement of land bank, but this is an example of how we can help, move things along. Cause I got a call one day from a neighbor, or from a resident who said, this is the situation, we wanna buy the property, but we can't find anybody, so we've started a tax foreclosure, and it's worked out, I think. Chris Betts has been running it from the prosecutor's office, and I think it's worked out very well, so. So anyway, again, that's another one of the things land bank can do, and if anybody comes across that situation, please let us know, and we can get things moving. I don't know, anybody have anything else? That was all I had on my list. Any other topics? Michelle?
I don't have any.
Okay, Scott?
I have nothing, no.
Okay. All right, with no further business,